Hello everyone and welcome to another edition of the Cathedral Check-In. My name is Mark McDonald and I'm the Communications Officer here at Christ Church Cathedral. I can say here at Christ Church Cathedral in a different way this week because I'm not at home in my apartment in front of my computer, but I'm actually here at the cathedral. And if you don't recognize where we are, we're actually in the organ loft. And we may have to change the name of this place because it's now the organ and the live streaming camera loft. And you'll see that I'm situated here at our new live streaming station. And there's lots of fancy equipment here that has been installed over the last little while. And today for our check-in, we're going to look a little bit at all this new fancy equipment and get an overview of all these changes to our live streaming system. So to help me do that, I'm joined with Canon Ian Alexander, who has been instrumental in bringing this project to fruition. So let's say hello to Ian, and we'll go downstairs to see him there.
Hello, Mark. Great to be celebrating the installation of this system, and I think that before we're done, we should also let people see a bit more of the console upstairs. But I guess one of the things we want to do is take people behind the scenes, because some people may have seen some of our Sunday services over the last month or so since we've introduced the new system, but you may not know exactly how we're doing it, and so we thought we'd sort of take you, as I say, behind the curtain and let you have a look around.
Exactly. So I will be up here at the console. You will not see me for a little bit, and Ian is now going to walk us through a little tour of the cathedral via our new cameras.
Thanks, Mark. So it's a big space, as you know, lots of nooks and crannies, and we concluded that we needed 6 fixed cameras on pillars and walls to really cover it effectively. And so that's what we have, plus a few extras. We have a couple of portable cameras that we can move around on the floor, and we have the famous, almost infamous Camera 7, about which I will say nothing else until Mark demonstrates it a little bit later. But I'm speaking to you now from the crossing area of the cathedral, and I'm speaking to you and looking at you on what we call Camera 2, which is installed on the north pillar immediately adjacent to the pulpit. And as you can see, it provides an opportunity for us to see the pulpit, to see the chancel area. It's the camera that's used for many of our shots of the lectern as well. We have another angle on this whole area on the south pillar, a little bit further back, Camera 3, which I may
And
be...
we're on Camera 3.
There we go. So again, this just gives us a different set of angles for all of those important liturgical scenes to the east side of the nave: lectern, pulpit, altar, wide shots and close-ups. And these 2 cameras also allow us to take a good close look and really get into the choir when the choir is singing, as they are these days, collegiate style, in this central area here. A third camera that also covers this whole area, but also provides some wonderful, inspiring wide shots, as videographers call them, is Camera 5. And Camera 5 is suspended right underneath the center of the organ case, the very outside edge of the organ loft, that part of the loft that hangs out over the west end of the nave. And you can see that it gives a good wide coverage, and so is a great way to cover processions when we have them again, and those sorts of things, showing the congregation as a whole when we have a congregation again. But it also has the ability to come in and provide some close-ups as well. So I think you can see it zooming in on me now. And it's a camera that we use, for example, when we now use this gate area for the readings and the homily at evensong. So you can see that it can come in quite close on the person who's reading or preaching from this area here. You're doing really well, Mark. You've really got the operation down pat up there.
Well, trying to. It's a little rough around the edges, but this is still brand new.
One of the camera positions that we were particularly excited to add is what we call camera 1, and I'm moving towards it now. And it is right above the Tewkesbury Cross, right above the Reredos, the green Carol Sabiston tapestry. And so it provides, again, what videographers would call a reverse angle, and certainly a view of activity in the chancel and at the altar that one doesn't normally see. And in fact, if you attend services this Sunday, you'll see that camera in action because it is Trinity Sunday. We are going to be sensing the altar at both the service of the Word in the morning and at evensong, and you'll be able to see that liturgical action happen in a way that I don't think you will have ever been able to see it before. I should say, as I'm moving elsewhere to show you another camera, that we really do believe that this is the new permanent reality. We're looking forward to the day, of course, when we can all be back in church together, but we also think that we will always be live streaming services even when they are fully open to the public and sharing them with people across the diocese and around the world. I've moved over to the St. Christopher Chapel area to show you another of our cameras, camera 4, which is suspended over what some people will know of as the soft space at the southwest corner of the nave. And as you can see, this camera is ideally placed to present services going on in St. Christopher Chapel, or as is the case today, Peter Reed mopping the floor of St. Christopher Chapel. That camera also has the ability to pan around into the nave and again capture a liturgical movement, processions up and down the aisles. And it can even pivot around a little bit further. I spoke of nooks and crannies, and one of the nooks and crannies in this building, of course, is now known as the Chapel of Reconciliation, our baptistry area. And camera 4 has the ability to swing around and get shots of activity going on in the baptistry. And we have been using this space, as you may know, for some of our services and other recordings during COVID time. So that's just a quick sense of how we're able to cover many parts of the cathedral from a visual point of view, but there are a couple of other cameras still to demonstrate, and Mark, maybe you can take us up into the loft and show us the cameras up there.
Indeed, these are a little bit out of walking distance for Ian here, but the next camera I'm going to show you is the organ loft camera. So this is the camera that actually you saw earlier at the beginning of the video with it trained on our new production desk, but you see I've now got it positioned to look directly at the organ console. And we've been getting lots of feedback over the last few weeks of how much people have been enjoying seeing the organist really for the first time, since the organist is always stuck up here in the loft. So this is one of the organ shots, and the second one, which I think is very dramatic, is actually above the organ console and looking down on the keys, and that one's also very exciting. So these two shots have become sort of part of our new live streaming tradition. So if you're looking for the organ, you can always find the organist at the postlude at the end of the services.
Mark, while you're there with camera 6 and 7, camera 6 in particular, are people able to see down onto the production desk with that camera too?
They certainly can, and I'm panning over now. Here we go.
And maybe you could just tell people a little bit about what they're seeing on that lovely wood production table that Ron Malzahn commissioned for us.
Exactly, yes. We're very grateful to Ron Malzahn for his amazing carpentry skills in putting this console together. And as you can see, it beautifully matches the wood staining of the organ console and the pews and everything else in the church. So it's a really wonderful piece of equipment. And on that piece are all of the various parts of our camera and sound system. And so where I'm sitting right now is our camera control station, and I have a joystick to control each one of the cameras. I have a switcher station to change which angle you can see, and then on the other side of the table there is a soundboard to control all of the audio that goes out to the live stream, and a computer system which is connected to the internet and sends our video signal out to the world. So obviously there's a lot of complexity here and takes a lot of skill and practice, but it's really made our lives a lot easier from where we were a year ago.
And we're happy and pleased that we have a few and a growing group of volunteers who have trained themselves up on this equipment and are helping to share the load of using it, not only for services but also for concerts. And speaking of the organ and concerts and things like that, video is of course part of the story, but audio, sound is a very important part. And so we have also upgraded our sound system. We've made some improvements, first of all, to the PA system so that when you are able to return to the cathedral, God willing soon, you will find that the sound in the room has been significantly enhanced. We've also added a permanent hanging pair of microphones high up in the crossing area. They're virtually invisible, but I'm pointing to where they exist right now. And those are the microphones that pick up the organ and the choir on Sunday services. And so that's through those mics that you are hearing all of the music. We also have invested in 2 other sets of microphones, which are on floor stands, which we can move in as we need to when we need to get closer up to maybe a small vocal ensemble or a string quartet or a soloist in order to feature them up close. And we mix all of that sound together on the audio board that Mark was showing you earlier.
Well, thank you very much, Ian, for that overview. And here we are back in the loft again. I hope you've enjoyed this little cathedral behind-the-scenes tour. And again, many thanks to Ian Alexander for showing us around, and also for so many hours and hours of work over the last year as we've been planning and implementing all of these big technological changes at the cathedral.
And maybe just one postscript, Mark, and that would be a big thanks also to Christ Church Cathedral Buildings Limited, who saw the wisdom and the value of investing in this setup, not only to see us through COVID, but for many, many years to come. So we're very grateful to CCCB for funding this project.
That's all for now, and we'll see you on the next Cathedral Check-In or on the live stream on Sunday. Take care.